7:34, CBSN Minnesota Daybreaker. Hi, everybody. I'm Jason DeRusha. Great to have you with us. Do you have a cup of coffee? You might need one this morning. A little bit of rain out there. The rain has largely moved out of the Twin Cities. We're not going to see rain throughout most of the day. Here is what we will see. Partly cloudy skies by 4 this afternoon. High of 64. That is warmer than normal, but it's going to be windy. 15 to 20 miles per hour. So it shouldn't, it's not going to feel great, I'll tell you that much. But this will be the warmest day of the next 7. So soak it in. Enjoy that because it is going to be chilly. Let's talk about this. The new iPhone is here, so congratulations. If you're like me and have an iPhone 11, I have an 11. I thought I was so cool, right? It's got like the 3 camera things on there. You're like, yeah, you spent some money. You got a cool camera, cool iPhone. You're cool, Jason. You're not an old man, washed up news guy. You're cool. Now I'm a loser again. It's time for a new iPhone. Here they are. They had a 1-hour-long show where I was sitting watching this announcement yesterday, and about 40 minutes in, I'm like, what have I done with my life? Why am I watching a company introduce a phone? It was a cool video, though. These things will all connect to 5G, the iPhone 12. No headphones this time, no power charger. Great spin by Apple where they say it's for the environment. It sure isn't to save them money. But they are going to be able to have much smaller boxes. They'll be able to ship a lot more phones on a pallet, and that does make a real difference. Same display, but thinner, smaller, lighter. They start around $700, I think. The fancy ones will be $1,000. That's kind of the standard for a fancy smartphone right now. I was surprised they had offerings well below that, you know. So we just wondered, how often do you upgrade your smartphones? The old ones are pretty good now, aren't they? iPhone 8 is a good phone. It's not like the old days where you're like, ugh, got to upgrade this thing. So we want to know, how often do you upgrade? Are you tempted? What color would you pick? We'll share some of your comments on the WCCO TV Facebook page in just a minute. Or are you just like, I would love to hear from Android users who can say something like, oh, pretty cool, you iPhone people got what we've had for the last 3 years. That's kind of neat. All right, let's look at the headlines. Minnesota is expanding its saliva testing program to give free testing to anybody who needs it. A new site opens today in Winona, with sites in Moorhead and Brooklyn Park opening within the next couple of days. There's also a new pilot program for at-home saliva tests. New lab in Oakdale is going to process all these tests, doubling the state's capacity to about 60,000 tests a day. Boy, Wisconsin just struggling. Record-breaking day for COVID-19 cases again. The state reported all-time highs of nearly 3,300 cases, 34 deaths yesterday. Another record-breaking number, about 960 COVID patients are in Wisconsin hospitals right now. Today, a field hospital is opening on the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds to help ease some of the burden. Hundreds of kids in western Minnesota are going to stay home today because of too many illnesses. In Wilmer, the school district is changing the elementary schools from in-person to hybrid learning next week. And the West Central Tribune says the schools have been linked to more than 30 cases. A lot of that is staff members, but you've got to quarantine the whole classroom. And the district has sent 400 kids home to quarantine. When you do that, you get to a point where you're like, well, forget it. District's middle and high schools already use hybrid learnings, and that setup has resulted in fewer quarantines. Some neighbors in South Minneapolis have teamed up to help their kids do distance learning together. Group of 4 families in the Kennedy neighborhood are doing something that we've read a lot about, and it's interesting to see it in action. It's called pod learning. So small groups, usually fewer than 10 students, basically do distance learning together outside of the classroom. So they're kind of rotating through homes. So basically, each parent takes a turn. Each parent takes one day facilitating class. On the off days, they focus on their jobs. They said this method of learning has allowed their kids to get some socialization while also allowing the parents to keep their jobs.
This was definitely not what we had in mind for going to kindergarten and what we thought for them. And I think being able to experience that with friends and fellow parents is something that I think has been really kind of probably the biggest perk.
School day runs from 8 in the morning till just after 2. Right now the parents are trying to figure out gym class. when it gets really cold, but right now they're doing gym class outside. They acknowledge, like, this is for sure upper middle class, lower rich people stuff that they're able to do, but they're grateful that they're able to give their kids that opportunity. Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett will be back on Capitol Hill today for day 3 of her Senate confirmation hearings. Yesterday's session was a marathon, and she did what has become the standard for Supreme Court nominees. This is this dance, right? Senators are like, what are you going to do with abortion? What are you going to do with Roe versus Wade? What are you going to do with the Affordable Care Act? And the judge says, well, you know, I'm a judge. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to listen to the case. I'm not going to commit to anything. She also said she wouldn't commit herself to recusing herself in any cases that would involve this year's election. A new feat in space travel. It's kind of like an iPass lane. A rocket reached the International Space Station in record time. NASA sent Kate Rubins. 2 Russian cosmonauts went off in this rocket from Kazakhstan early this morning, and they used what's called a fast-track maneuver to reach the ISS. Reach the ISS. Jeez. Reach the ISS. I mean, it would be something if you could launch a rocket and in 3 hours reach the ISS, but that's not what we're doing. We're going to the International Space Station. Anyway, it took just 3 hours to reach the space station. Let's call it that instead of 6. All right, are you looking for a way to sort of travel, to get away from the surroundings you've been quarantined or locked down in for 6 months? You're in luck. The 32nd season of The Amazing Race is back. I got to talk with host Phil Kogan ahead of tonight's premiere.
I think it is about, like you said, having a little normalcy and being able to see the world, a world that we've all missed terribly, a world that we all want to get back to. So a good chance to escape, of course, from the comfort and safety of our living rooms.
They shot this season before coronavirus hit, so imagine the people as a part of this had to keep the results quiet for all this time. 11 teams test their relationships, their physical capabilities when they hit the road tonight. And travel-wise, they hit a big milestone, 1 million miles traveled. They hit it while they were in an airplane. And Phil said they weren't like popping champagne. Everybody was exhausted. They were like, oh, 1 million miles, that's cool. I need a nap. 32nd season of the show kicks off at 8 o'clock tonight on WCCO. All right, let's talk iPhones. Back to today's talker, upgrading your cell phones. WCCO digital manager Eric is here. Eric, good morning. What are people saying about upgrades? What iPhone are you reading these on?
This is the XS.
The XS.
So I think that's 2 models back.
Right, because we had the 8, and then was there a 9?
The 9.
We skipped the 9. We went to the X.
Which is not 10.
Which is 10. I think it's 10. They say iPhone 10. And then we went to the 11. I have the 11. Mm-hmm. And now the 12. What do people say?
Kimberly says every 2 to 3 years. Liz every 3 to 5 years. Depends.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like a 2 or 3 year kind of
I think
person.
that's where I am too. I always want to every year, but I wait. I kind of skip one.
Right. John says when they no longer support it and no longer provide updates.
Yeah, I mean, that, like, they've really extended that, though, now. I think, like, they're supporting the 8, and this is the 12, so it's better than it used to be. You know, they make their money on charging you for iCloud storage and Apple Music subscriptions and on and on and on and on. The phone is just like a vessel at this point.
Tammy says, I have an iPhone 6, so I'm overdue for a new one.
You are.
So that's
6 is probably sluggish, I bet. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and then Jenny says, husband likes to upgrade when we renew our phone contract, so every 2 years.
Oh, yeah, that's smart. Try to get a good deal when you renew. Get the buy one, get one free sometimes. It's a nice way to save money. Good. Well, I am an iPhone bobo. I am. Like, I've tried out the Samsungs. They're great phones. They're really good. I get it, Android people. Your stuff is great. But, you know.
I still remember how excited you were the day they announced the actual iPhone, the first one.
Yeah. I think
you're bouncing off the walls.
You can you can find old tweets from me sent on the iPhone 4 or something. Like, yeah. Those were simpler times, though. Some days I'm like, maybe get rid of this thing.
Some tweets age like a fine wine.
How about a flip phone? That would be fine with me. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'm off the next couple days for MEA, and boy, am I going to luxuriate in the 49-degree temperatures. Can't wait. If you're off, enjoy it. If you're looking for a digital news update, I think it's Heather Brown will have you covered. So thanks for watching the CBSN Minnesota Daybreaker.